I'm going to make a squash blossom earring, a pair of earrings. This is a part that we have in our line. It's a 14mm seamless bead. Our part number on that is 100-014. We're also going to be using this blossom end that is our part number LP 4807, and we'll also be using a stamped raindrop that we cast. This is part number LP 4759. Okay, I'm going to sweat solder these on here. I'm using a wire solder. All of these pieces have been pre-fluxed. I'm going to put a bead of solder on top of the blossom end. This end goes into the bead itself. And I just want to barely melt it on there. One thing I can recommend is you keep your torch moving at all times. It gives you a good control over your temperature. Now I'm going to knock these little guys over. And I'll pick them up. And I'm going to make sure your bead's nice and straight on there. We'll get a good, I'm going to heat up the blossom end. It's a little bit heavier than the bead itself, so I want it to come up to temperature so they're all at the same temperature. I'm using a super easy solder on this whole entire project, which can be challenging, but get a nice seam all the way around. You want to seal that off. So that's the first one. I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. I kind of put the blossom in front of the bead, so I'm kind of heating everything up at the same time without make it seal completely. Always a challenge working with round. Okay, I'm going to create, these are all pre-fluxed. I use Handy Flux, it's a paste flux. I'm going to create a bead about the size of the hole on the top of that bead. And then I'm going to take about a 3.5mm 20 gauge loop that I made. I'm just going to barely get it to adhere to that loop I'm going to put on there. So now I'm going to heat this up. I'm going to set that loop right over that hole and plug the whole thing. The same thing with the second one. Barely getting it to jump onto that loop. And now we've created a loop to hold the wire. So I've created a little hole in my board here that is accepting, this little part is buried underneath there. And it's stuck down that way just so I don't have to worry about it tipping over. I've got a little piece of solder here. I'm going to barely melt on the end of my wire. I'm using an 18 gauge wire. You certainly can use something less, something thinner. 18 is kind of a heavy gauge for an ear wire. So let's get this little raindrop. Again, this raindrop is a number 4759. And I'll get that hot, and I'm just going to place this right on top of it and hope that I get a good solder. There we go. There's the raindrop soldered on the end of the wire. I'm going to make 2 of those, and those are going to be my ear wires for the earrings themselves. Everything is pre-fluxed, and again, it's Handy Flux. So let me get that nice and hot. Drop it on there. There we go. So now I have 2 wires, and we'll go ahead and assemble these. Thanks. Bye. Okay, the wire's been formed to turn into an ear wire. They've been oxidized and there's been a satin finish put on them. So this is your finished piece.